So just to show you that only one side, ask yourself this question: is the other side fighting Roy Moore because they want to keep a sex pest out of the Senate? No, they're fighting Roy Moore for power. They see an opportunity. I think Steve Bannon blew this. He said he was going to start a revolution. Mitch McConnell said, don't do it. He should have listened to Mitch. Mitch was right. And now they see an opportunity and they're going in to get the power. And the people on the other side have to fight to keep our power because our power is cutting back the power of government. Here's today's New York Times. Remember yesterday I told you that Al Franken didn't really resign. He announced his intention to resign, and that once Roy Moore lost, if Roy Moore lost, suddenly Al Franken would not be resigning. Here is today's New York Times. Let's take a trip to the op-ed page of the New York Times, or as we like to call it, Knucklehead Road.
Oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, oh, let's go waltzing down to Knucklehead Road.
So here is Zephyr Teachout, an associate professor of law at Fordham. I'm not making her name up. And she writes, I'm not convinced Franken should quit. This is the lead editorial on the op-ed page of the New York Times. I care passionately about Me Too. Women are routinely demeaned, dismissed, discouraged, and assaulted. Too many women's careers are stymied or ended because of harassment and abuse in politics, where I have worked much of my adult life. This behavior is rampant. I also believe in zero tolerance. And yet, a lot of women I know, myself included, were left with a sense that something went wrong last week with the effective ouster of Al Franken from the United States Senate. He resigned. He did not resign, but he resigned, she says, after a groundswell of his own Democratic colleagues called for him to step down. Zero tolerance should go hand in hand with two other things: due process and proportionality. Now, the New York Times, when Betsy DeVos rescinded Obama's letter, which essentially squelched due process for men in universities, they didn't care very much about due process at all. They ridiculed her commitment to due process on this very same page. But suddenly due process matters and proportionality. He just grabbed the woman's butt. We still want Al Franken's vote. In other words, it's a scam. It's all one-sided. It is all pornography bent on making you lose power, lose the power to cut back the government. So then they have the women, and we obviously know who the real target here. It's always the same target. PTD, President Donald, is always the target here. So now the women are coming out, and these are women who were part of a documentary, by the way, attacking Trump, and they're basically promoting their documentary. They came out yesterday saying that all the terrible things that Trump had done to them.
About 12 years ago, as a young receptionist in Trump Tower, I was forcibly kissed by Mr. Trump during our first introduction. Mr. Trump repeatedly kissed my cheeks and ultimately my lips in an encounter that has since impacted my life well beyond the initial occurrence and feelings of self-doubt and insignificance I had. Unfortunately, given Mr. Trump's notoriety and the fact that he was a partner of my employer's, not to mention the owner of the building, I felt there was nothing I could do. Given this hostile work environment, my only solution at the time was to simply avoid additional encounters with him. I do realize that in the grand scheme of things, there are far worse cases of sexual harassment, misconduct, and assault. But make no mistake, there is no acceptable level of such behavior. That some men think they can use their power, position, or notoriety to demean and attack women speaks to their character, not ours.
I just want to show you how brilliant Trump is on dealing with this, however, because he really is. Kirsten Gillibrand, the senator who's leading this charge, although she defended Clinton, suddenly she thinks she's onto something. So now she's calling for an investigation. This is the plan. It's just a power play that is utilizing your pornographic thrill. It is utilizing your pornographic thrill as a power play. That's all you're watching here. You're watching news pornography, making you excited so they can get more power. So here she is talking, and just watch how Trump's response to this is brilliant.
President Trump should resign. These allegations are credible. They are numerous. I've heard these women's testimony, and many of them are heartbreaking. And President Trump should resign his position. Whether he will ever hold himself accountable is something you really can't hold your breath for. And so Congress should have hearings. They should do their investigation. They should have appropriate investigations of his behavior and hold him accountable.
So you are standing by your prominent senator colleagues, Senator Cory Booker and others who have called today for the president to resign. I hear you very clearly agreeing with them. Do you think, though, that there should be, as these women have called for, a bipartisan investigation, or are you calling for an immediate resignation?
I think he should immediately resign. And if he doesn't, we should have the investigation.
So now Trump you gotta look at it. People say that Trump is just doing this stuff by accident. It's not so. He knows exactly what he's doing. So now Trump tweets, lightweight Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a total flunky for Chuck Schumer and someone who would come to my office begging for campaign contributions not so long ago and would do anything for them, is now in the ring fighting against Trump, very disloyal to Bill and crooked. Hillary, all right. So that's now he says she's begging for campaign contributions and would do anything for them, right? Now, it just obviously, to those of us of pure heart and sound mind, he's just referring to political favors. But immediately, Elizabeth Warren tweets back. She says, "Are you really trying to bully, intimidate, and slut shame Senator Gillibrand?" So she is accepting that she went in there and was willing to do sexual favors. They immediately went for the sexual thing. Let's play the Mika attack on Morning Joe. She just plays it as if it's obvious that he's talking about sexual favor.
Lightweight Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a total flunky for Chuck Schumer, and someone who would come to my office begging for campaign contributions not so long ago and would do anything for them.
Is now fighting against Trump. Very disloyal to Bill and crooked. Used! Exclamation point.
Okay, so I just want to say something beyond the fact that is reprehensible that the President of the United States would say something so derogatory and disgusting about a woman. We're not surprised, Mr. President. You do it all the time. You treat women terribly, and you treat the women around you even worse. And you treat women like punching bags because it's fun for you, because you are intimidated by women. That's your problem, okay? But for the people who work for you, you need to act. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, good luck today in the briefing. Don't lie, and do not defend the President of the United States for what he did. If you do, you have no credibility. You should step down from your position. You should resign.
Evil to him who evil thinks. they just basically, they went to the sex place, but Trump never did. He never did. They just went there, and they're basically condemning this woman, Kirsten Gillibrand, for having gone in and offered Trump sex. I mean, Trump is like, he's a genius at this. He really is. And he's got the press so crazy. They've made an utter fool of themselves. So Trump keeps pulling the same trick on these guys where he leads them into doing, he calls them fake news. They get so upset they try to destroy him. They actually commit acts of fake news. They've just made so many mistakes. Their mistake about this email thing where they say that Donald Trump Jr. got an email from WikiLeaks on September 4th giving him a secret code to their leaked letters. But in fact, it was September 14th when the letters were available to everybody. So now Jim Acosta, one of the silliest reporters at CNN. They're stupid reporters and silly reporters. He goes after Sarah Huckabee Sanders about his dishonesty. He's like, they're just emphasizing his dishonesty. Here is Jim Acosta.
Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me.
I'm sorry, that was just his soul speaking. Well, let's hear his body speaking.
Can you cite a specific story that you say is intentionally false, that was intentionally put out there to mislead the American people?
Sure. The ABC report by Brian Ross, I think that was pretty misleading to the American people. And I think that it's very telling that that individual had to be suspended because of that reporting. I think that shows that the network took it seriously and recognized that it was a problem.
Sarah,
Jim?
If I may, I was going to ask a question about something else.
Well, you used it on something else.
Sarah,
Jim?
if I may,
Sarah,
I
Not
think
today. We're going to keep moving, guys.
if I can ask about the president's accusations.
I'm moving to a different Jim. I'm sorry.
I know, but I didn't get a chance to ask the question that I wanted to ask, which is,
Jim.
can you just say once and for all whether these
Jim, I'm going to say once and
accusations-
for all that I'm moving on to Jim Stinson, and I'm not taking another question from you at this point.
Splat.